The workplace can be a very stressful environment. Tempers can boil over, and things are said in the heat of the moment that are later regretted. This includes employees resigning in a fit of anger and employers sacking employees where they might not necessarily have meant to. But what do phrases like, "that's the last time you'll see me," and "don't bother coming back" actually mean in a workplace context? This question was considered in the case of Sindy Lam and William Leung in 2020. Ms. Lam was employed as a secretary at a firm of solicitors. She applied for half a day of no paid leave to take her mother to the doctor. Her request was approved by HR, so all was well. The next day, the senior partner, Mr. Leung, sent a group WhatsApp message saying he had not approved the leave, and since it was made with less than a day's notice, it should not have been granted. He went on to say that employees were expected to work, they should not take leave without good reasons, and that there would be no exceptions in the future. He then said, "I am now considering whether you have absented from work without cause, and if yes, you have to leave immediately." In the same group message, but addressing a manager, he finally said, Ms. Lam was on probation and subject to a 7-day notice period. Ms. Lam responded by WhatsApp asking if she was being treated as absent without cause, so that she would have to leave immediately, and she also said it would not matter if she returned or not. Ms. Lam returned to the workplace that afternoon and was asked to pack up her belongings. Mr. Leung was not in the office at the time and could not answer any questions. Ms. Lam later discovered that 7 days' wages in lieu of notice had been deducted from her pay. Ms. Lam sued for 7 days' pay. Her claim was initially dismissed by the Minor Employment Claims Adjudication Board. The board found that Ms. Lam terminated her employment through her words and conduct, even though the word resign had not actually been used. The board also found that there had been no express dismissal by Mr. Leung. Ms. Lam appealed to the High Court. The High Court was asked to determine if the board should have considered the entire context and circumstances of the exchange between her and Mr. Leung, and not just the literal meaning of the words used. The court considered the English Court of Appeal case of Willoughby and CF Capital in 2011, which said ideally words used in a verbal resignation or dismissal should be clear and unambiguous. However, the court went on to recognise that words may be said in circumstances where the literal meaning of the words should not be taken at face value. For example, words may be said during an acrimonious exchange between an employer and employee in the heat of the moment, such that there may be a real question as to whether they really intended to mean what they appeared to say. In such circumstances, it would be appropriate for the recipient to take time to ascertain whether the words said were in fact intended to terminate the employment. The court went on to say that in such special circumstances, there should be an opportunity for the employee or the employer to recant their words. In Ms. Lam's appeal, the court found that the board failed to take into account the circumstances in which the WhatsApp messages were exchanged. Ms. Lam was obviously indignant and felt aggrieved, hence her saying it would not matter if she returned to work. But that was obviously an impulsive statement that was expressed in a moment of anger. The court found that Ms. Lam's statement could not reasonably be construed as a resignation. Instead, by Mr. Leung requiring her to leave, he had effectively dismissed her. This case serves as a useful reminder to employers and employees alike that a notice of termination should be clear and unambiguous, especially when it is verbal or open to misinterpretation. Since workplace disputes are pretty much unavoidable, both parties should keep in mind that a termination or resignation that is uttered in the heat of the moment should not be taken at face value. A moment's reflection should be allowed, and ideally clarification sought before reacting.